we need to make that symbol toxic. The pride flag symbol, we need to make that toxic. We need to have companies think twice about it. Everyone was talking about the Dylan Mulvaney incident as being harmful to the Bud Light brand. That's true. But more importantly, it was harmful to the Dylan Mulvaney brand. Now other companies are going to think twice before sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney because they don't want to lose $6 billion in market cap in 2 days. That's what we got to do. And then once we make these things culturally toxic, or as we're making these symbols culturally toxic, we've got to bring in the cavalry. We've got to come back in with more political force to ban some of this stuff.
So, look, I've been a critic of Pride Month and different things related to it for a while. This seems like a little bit of an overreaction to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks eerily similar to the activism we see on the left, where it's like we have to make it culturally toxic to go eat at Chick-fil-A. We have to make it culturally toxic to, read Harry Potter. It's the same exact thing. It's another example of hypocrisy. But I do want to touch on this because it's something that I'm sure you've experienced internally as like a creator. When you make it, when you start to gain a following, I feel like this is just a prime example of you having to be pushed more and more to the right, because that's how you generate traction is with shock value. So you start as a reasonable creator and then you start to make it more and more, and you have to continue to find that success. And I think a few people at the Daily Wire are a prime example of that.
Yeah, it's called audience capture, right? This idea that
there's a word for it.
Yes, there is a word for it. I struggle against it, right? I try not to, but some of my content, I try not to, rile people up just for the sake of it, or just be controversial for controversial sake. But that really is what gets clicks and gets views and gets money. And so I think you do have this incentive to keep going more and more extreme. But I want to particularly talk about this notion that we need to, I think the idea that you're ever going to make the rainbow symbol is not some bad symbol in and of itself. I hate when they say it's a symbol of sex. It's not. It's a symbol of love or romance, but it's not a sexual thing inherently. There's been some weird stuff pushed under the name of pride that I don't support, including at Target, but you're never going to make the rainbow culturally toxic. It's already out there. It's shoved down our throats at this point. It's way too much out there. But secondly, even if that is your goal, okay, I don't agree with it. But the idea that you're going to use political power, which means the government, to ban some of this stuff is nuts. That's totally inconsistent with free speech, with the First Amendment, these things that conservatives are supposed to support and have spent years now, I think often rightly, complaining that the left doesn't support.
Well, yeah, this is exactly what happened, 5 to 8 years ago when the left was in control of culture. They started boycotting companies, Aunt Jemima, all of these companies that have changed their marketing techniques to appease the activist on the left. All that's happening is the pendulum is swinging to the other side, and conservatives are getting excited. So they're like, all right, here's the game plan so we can do the same thing that the left did. And this goes back to my point of us acting like children. We're just doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm just waiting for somebody to stand up and say, hey, when are we going to end this cycle of going back and forth because you're both acting like lunatics?
Yeah.
Like somebody has to come in.
That's what I'm here for. But people don't just listen to me. If everyone just listened to me, we wouldn't have any of these problems.
Yeah.